If I'm so excuse the backdrop a bit, I've been trying to experiment with a few things here and there. But anyway, welcome to another episode of today's video, where initially I was supposed to take the time to, well, in this series what I usually do is to gauge and scale essentially the difficulty on how it would be to cosplay the girlfriends of the 100 Girlfriends You Really Love You series. So there will be three categories: the hair and makeup, the upper attire, and the lower attire, and I would try to gauge and measure them as to how difficult or easy would it be for someone with let's say with financial difficulties, right, and limited resources to be able to pull off the cosplay for this character, right? And the initial angle that I went with all of this, right, is that a woman would be cosplaying these characters, right? But that being said, if one were to, let's say, gender bend cosplay these characters, right? Gender bend referring to the act of essentially cosplaying a character that is not your gender but turning it into your gender style, right? For example, in this case with the girlfriends, of course, girls, right, you try to cosplay them as a boy, you're trying to cosplay them, but of course into a male counterpart, right, so to speak. And that sort of aspect is, or well, doing this sort of thing, right, is what made me realize that yes, indeed, so a lot of these characters can indeed be gender bent cosplay, right? And a lot of which as well are kind of easy, right? Because for the most part, I've realized that the solution for when you want to gender bend cosplay a character, right, is to swap out the skirt for pants sort of solution, right? To be fair, indeed, the upper attires for these characters, right, can be worn for both men and women, right? So long, of course, granted that the attire is in a men's physique. So for example, a lot of these girls have uniforms of which they have a dress shirt, right? So for men, right, dress shirt can also be for men, but there's a bit of size differences here and there, right, to the physique that we have, right? So that being said, or taking that into consideration, design wise, it is still, all of them are the same. If we even take a look at Rentaro and Hakuri's uniforms, for example, right, they're both very similar, only difference being that, for example, the tie, and of course the ties, and of course skirt and pants difference, right? Color scheme and all that are quite similar in nature, right? So with that being said, right, the same also goes for footwear, footwear essentially, right? Boots, heels, you can replace them with regular shoes or men's boots, so to speak, right? Eye color and hair color remain the same, but the only difference is that the hairstyle will change. Now, of course, family, there is no official gender bend cosplay version, or gender bend version rather, of these characters, right? Except for Rentaro and Nano in one way or another, I guess, yeah. But with that being said, right, I'm a huge believer in in unleashing your creativity, right? Because that is what cosplay is about, to be creative with the way that you want to cosplay these characters. So you can choose to have whatever hairstyle that you want for these characters, but of course also ensure that try to make it as close to the original as possible. And I also have some few tips or some points that I want to share with some of the characters as well when gender bend cosplaying them, right? It would look good in a short hairstyle or in a sort of men's ponytail hairstyle. Be that as it may, go for it, right? If you think it looks great, yeah, make it work, right? But of course also ensure that the color palette will remain the same, and not only for the hair or the eyes, right, but also for, of course, the entire ensemble, right, of the outfit. If the skirt of the girlfriend is let's say in a navy blue color, then find a pants or pair of trousers that are within the same color palette, right? With that being said, here are my thoughts on gender bending these characters. This is gonna take a while, I feel like. Now, the girlfriends that I'm going to be covering in this video are from Hakuri up until Usa-chan Senpai. So with that being said, let's take a look first at Exhibit A. Now, all of these characters have attires of which you may simply swap out their skirts for pants, right? And the best example to act as a reference would be, of course, Rentaro's own uniform, right? So you'd even notice that with Hakuri, Nano, and Meme's uniforms, rather, they sort of resembles with that of Rentaro. But for Memes, instead of a dress shirt on underneath. It's a black what do you call this, turtleneck sweater, right? So go for that, right? Black turtleneck. One thing I want to also add in as well is that when styling Hakari's hair, perhaps a good alternative to add in her, signature white flower hair accessories, right, would be to have it as a sort of like hair clip, something similar with that of Tadano from the Komi-san series. Now, I would imagine that the same color palette would apply, and style rather, would apply if you pair it with girlfriends who have cardigans such as Karane, right, or sweater vests like Shizuka and Momiji's, right, because for their lower part, right, they have a skirt, and they also pair it with a sort of leg warmers and socks and the like. So perhaps going for the same style or same pants attire with that of Rentaro and the others would also kind of be, pretty good or in itself, right? Now, one thing I also want to mention with styling Karene's hair, right, one option that I thought of, right, to replace her signature green ribbons, right, was to have a hair clip that has that sort of similar leaf-like effect or leaf-like shape of the ribbon, right? Or maybe go for a style of which instead of ribbons, the green part is like a scarf that's tied to her neck, and you'd have it in a knot that sort of resembles the leaf effect, right? Now, of course, when styling Usa-chan senpai's hair instead of the buns, right, that sort of resemble that of a rabbit's ears, perhaps go for a cowlick style that's sort of like a bunny. The closest example that I can picture in my mind right off the bat is Uesugi from the quintessential quintuplet series. So yeah, with that being said, for characters like Iku, Yamame, Ako, and Kiki who have white dress shirts, again, fairly easy to acquire as well, and to also pull off a cosplay in this caliber, right? And their skirts would also kind of match well with the pants that is similar with that of Rentaro's and the rest. So with that being said, this sort of school pants, right, and this color tone is sort of the universal go-to, so to speak, right? And in my opinion, I would also go for that as well. For Kusuris, let's go over with her small version first. Now, from this, keep everything, right? From the lab coat, suspenders, and her bolo tie. But I was thinking that instead of, pants that would pair it with her, right, to replace the skirt with, go for shorts, right, because this is small kusuri after all. And for her senpai version, it's pretty much the same, but instead of shorts, it's going for the pants, right? Now, essentially, big kusuri or senpai kusuri's attire, right, upper attire, is pretty much similar with that of small kusuri. Sort of, you can just simply tucked in with suspenders and go for the same hairstyle, right? Men's ponytail, and perhaps, don't forget the glasses as well, right? Now for Hahari, let's also do both her home version and her chairwoman work outfit version, right? Now, honestly, I had a difficult time with this, primarily because I'm also not so sure what a good counterpart would it be for Hahari's dress, right? But honestly, what comes to mind are either a white three-piece suit mixed in with some purple designs here and there, right? It's hard to picture it. Easy to picture rather, but hard to precisely picture what areas would be designed. So I'll leave that up to your imagination. But essentially, perhaps a white three-piece suit, maybe, right? Or simply a white dress shirt with some fancy details. And for her chairwoman version, it's pretty much the same. You can also go for something like with Rentaro's attire, right? Or a normal suit for that matter. Now going into the middle school division, right? Once again, their upper attires are somewhat also very okay, and they match well for that of a men counterpart. That being said, of course, make it into the men physique, quote unquote, right? And what I really wanted to highlight from this is their skirts, right? Now, of course, middle school division, right? I'd imagine rather that perhaps they would go for a shorts type of style, but also, I guess pants would also work if it goes. But you would also notice that the skirts, right, are patterned, so take that into consideration. Now, another thing I want to add is for styling Chiyo's hairstyle and Momiji's hairstyle as well, because I think it's okay if you let loose of the ponytail and the pigtail, right? But opt to have their hairstyle and hair shape essentially in a very similar pattern, right? So Chiyo, of course, keep her signature glasses, and for Momiji, instead of a bow for the hair, right, you could have it as a bow tie, right? For Rin, maybe remove the ribbons and braid as well, right? And entirely make a sort of I was thinking small men's ponytail, but tied to the lower end, right? That sort of style. For Rin's suit, I know it's a bit different from Chiyo's style of suit, right? You notice that there's a bit of a difference, essentially, with Chiyo, Kurumi, and Rin's attire. Although their color palettes are the same, Rin's suit is pretty much different. But in my opinion, you could also try to just follow or use along Chiyo's uniform style with that of Rin's, right? Now, for the Meidos, right, of the family, pun intended, go for whatever butler outfit that you would think of, right? But for 100% bonus, you could really go for Rentaro's butler outfit style from the 32nd chapter, in a three-piece suit style, gray vest with some lining, perhaps a coattail suit, I think this is what it is, and a black cross over tie. And don't forget, of course, with to add some gloves if you want. For Mimimi and Kishika, this was also pretty tough. Now, I've considered to just simply, swap out their pants. For Kishika, that does seem to be the case indeed. But for Mimimi, well, this was quite difficult because her leggings, right, her stockings, leggings, right, yeah, has a beautiful rose embroidery, right? But when I searched for male pants with rose pattern or a rose embroidery, something like this comes up. So maybe just go for regular pants, right? Kishika's, same with Kishika's essentially, right? For Kishika's upper attire, it really can be the same as well. I can picture it really similarly. Black vest with a white cravat. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, but yeah, with this similar tie. And for Mimimi's corset, right? I'm really stuck with this one, right? Because one accessory that I thought of, right, to replace it or to swap it out for a male counterpart, would be suspenders, right? Or maybe just simply go for a simple dress shirt, right? But I feel like that would also be too bland. But another argument I would make is that if Mimimi would also try out the vest style that is similar to Kishika's, right? But the only difference would be in their ties. For Mimimi, it's sort of a cross tie. For Kishika, it's, well, this beautiful tie right here. And of course, for the hairstyle, do whatever you want. For Mimi's, make it beautiful as you can, right? For Kishika's, maybe a men's ponytail, right? Don't make the ponytail too long, just enough, right? Alright, for Nadi, let's go. Keep the hat, keep the American designed handkerchief, scarf, keep the arm sleeves with that sort of wrap pattern effect. Wrappings, right? Now, go for a black dress shirt with a brown vest, navy blue pants, and brown chaps. And of course, regular cowboy boots or boots, so to speak, right? However you would want it. But yeah, that's my version, right? For Matsuri, this is another difficult one, right? Gothally outfits is something that I really love and I really appreciate, right? I love the style to it and the aesthetic of it. It's just very pleasing. There's a really nice charm point to it, right? And Matsuri, her version, man, it really knocks it off the park because it is custom made and I love it, right? It's customized, tailor made rather, to be sleeveless, and I love the overall simple aesthetic that it has, but it just brings out so much of her personality and I really love it. So to work my way up, right, for the lower portion or for lower part, right, instead of a dress, the same checkered shorts or pants that you could use. For the upper portion, I was thinking of a vest with a very nice pattern to it, or not, right? You could always use a simple vest, right? And you can also follow this sort of bow tie version, or go for a one of these frilly cravat versions, right, or frilly tie versions. I honestly like this one, but hey, you do you, fam. Now for the headpiece, right, instead of the headband, swap it out for maybe a top hat. I'm not so sure, but then of course you'd also have to make the top hat into the same checkered pattern, right? Because man, God bless this school, right, for having the most amazing school uniforms. It doesn't matter whatever shape or form it may take, as long as it's within the same, it has the same checkered pattern, then it's all good. So yeah, top hat with this checkered pattern, which in it by itself, it's also very impossible, nearly impossible, right, to pull off. So maybe don't try that, right? Or just don't go for it. Perhaps go for a simple black cheap small one of those top hat headbands, right? Or maybe a regular top hat. I'm not so sure. But yeah, whatever way that you want to try to picture this Victorian-esque aesthetic for a male, right? Then go for it. But this is just my own opinion, right? For Uto, keep the hat, keep the cloak, keep the scarf, and the ocarina. For her upper attire, it's pretty much okay, right? It's pretty fine. But for her lower, right, make it into a sort of shorts uniform style with a gray color. Maybe you could also go for pants, right? And also have the black leg sleeves, right? Or long socks, for that matter. Or yeah, just maybe go for the shorts and these long socks pair, right? Because you can follow it in with the boot design for that matches with that of Uto's boots, Now, for Eira, you may opt to have a simple white t-shirt for the upper portion, and of course, don't forget about the name tag, and you can also go for these capoeira pants, right? For the pants portion, right? If you want to cut out or try to find a way to tailor it into this one leg is fully covered and one leg is entirely exposed, you can do you, fam, but having it both fully on is not so bad as well, right? And of course, don't forget about the boots. For Sue and Tama, right, it's a case of swap the skirt for pants type of deal, right? For Sue's color, it would be the sort of grayish or darker shade of pants, right? And for Tama, I was thinking of having either maybe some comfy shorts or some sweatpants for that nice, comfy texture that she has, right? And finally, for both Yako and Momoha, I think these two have attires or outfits, right, of which they don't need any changing because both men and women can wear what they are wearing, right? So for Yaku, it's a traditional kimono, right, with a haori or coat and a obi or the sort of waist sash, right? And of course, you have also the geta, which is the wooden sandals, right? And there you go. Of course, you have to also make sure that it's within the same color palette with it, right? With that of Yaku. So yeah, there you go. For Momoha, it's a tracksuit, right? So you have the jacket with red sort of this red jacket with a white stripe paired along with the matching pants, right? Black tank top, and then you've got yourself a Momoha cosplay, right? Very simple. And of course, don't forget about the sandals. So yeah, that's about it. Now, of course, full disclosure, again, I've also mentioned this before that there is no official gender-bent version of these characters. Rentaro and Nano, perhaps. So don't let me stop you from letting out your creativity when you want to cosplay these characters, right? Do it at your own style, fam. With that being said, thank you for listening and take care.